1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Am I doing the countdown from the bottom or from the top? Well, welcome to the show. It's the preview edition of AFCON Today here on Joy News. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and today we're doing a massive build-up to the very big one itself, the Africa Cup of Nations, which we've been looking forward to for a while now in neighboring Cote d'Ivoire. Now, this is the situation. The Black Stars will be playing on Sunday, but Cote d'Ivoire need to open the curtain first against Guinea-Bissau. How well have Guinea-Bissau performed in opening games, and how well have Cote d'Ivoire performed in opening games as well? Those are the questions we'll be asking ourselves today. We'll be taking a look at the latest as well in terms of what's been happening with the respective teams and attendance at the AFCON. All is set and good to go. The Gambia almost, had tragedy, but by the good grace of God, they were able to survive, and they are good to go and ready for the action as well. So we'll be looking into all of these. We'll be looking into some of the figures as well and profiling some more of the coaches who will be in charge of the respective teams who will be doing battle at the 24-team Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire. Thank you very much for joining us for the show. My guest will be joining me very shortly, and I know that you're looking forward to the conversations as well as your predictions as well for the very big ones. Welcome to AFCON Today. It's here on Joy News, which is on 421 on DSTV, and Joy Prime, which is on 281 on DSTV. Welcome to the show. There is kickoff time tomorrow. Now, Ivory Coast have won it twice, and all of these have been at the expense of the Black Stars of Ghana, believe it or not. I remember 1992 very, very well, as if it was yesterday, and I remember 2015 as if it was yesterday. So Cote d'Ivoire now have a task of doing massive stuff in front of their home fans. We understand that a minimum of 60,000 fans will be there to watch that game, the opening ceremony and the opening game, that Cote d'Ivoire will be playing against Guinea-Bissau. Of course, in terms of interest as well, we'll be looking at the Black Stars and how they'll be opening the tournament up. Who is likely to make up the starting 11? Now, that is one very big debate that has raged on over the period. Kwejay J. Jima is a coach, and he's currently working on his UEFA B badges. He's a Ghanaian. He lives in the UK, has massive love for the game of football, has been following, has been doing some scouting as well, and has been working with various teams and clubs as well. And he is in town for this football concentrated period. You follow Passionate Man on Instagram. Great guy, great guy. Kwejay, good to see you, and Happy New Year.
Good to see you too.
Now, it's weird that we didn't catch up during Christmas, eh? Was it that you were chilling too much or I was chilling too?
I think I came a little bit late this time around, so I just slotted in time a bit late. So Cool. Yeah, so maybe we'll see what to do with the rest of the new year. Absolutely.
Look, let's begin with Cote d'Ivoire. I'm just throwing back to 2008 when Ghana last hosted the tournament, and when we, had this whole euphoria. We had all of the, the people, the buzz. Well, look, we always talk about the home teams and how tournaments thrive when home teams do well. In Africa as well, we have another problem, a chronic problem of people not necessarily traveling around for these very big tournaments. So thing is, we want the stands to look good. We want television effects to be maximum, but then we also need to make sure or pray, that Cote d'Ivoire does well.
Cote d'Ivoire is very lucky for two reasons. One, they are hosting the tournament at a time that, if we begin to count, Senegal have qualified. Access from Senegal to Cote d'Ivoire is very easy. Gambia have qualified. You can go from Gambia to Cote d'Ivoire by road is about 2 or 3 countries away. Guinea is a neighbor to Cote d'Ivoire as well. Burkina Faso is a neighbor to Cote d'Ivoire, they've qualified. Ghana is a neighbor to Cote d'Ivoire, they've qualified. Nigeria is a few blocks away, they've qualified. So this is even 5 countries. Assuming it were only these 5 countries that were even coming, the stadia were going to be filled for a lot of games. Now think about the fact that traditional powerhouses in Africa who travel a lot, key. Egyptians travel a lot. For AFCONs, anywhere they will go. So that's 7 countries. Morocco have a big population in Cote d'Ivoire because of their historical ties. So that's 8 countries so I've named 5 countries that are neighbors to Cote d'Ivoire and are buzzing. I'm just from the Adabraka Polyclinic in Accra, where they give the meningitis shots.
That is a mandatory requirement.
Yes, the meningitis shots are a mandatory requirement for you to enter Cote d'Ivoire. And they are swarmed there. I mean, on a normal day, because certain countries, but they were telling me, because I was just doing a report for something else, that because of the numbers going for the AFCON, because when you fill the form, you are required to get a signature. So they can tell the numbers of people who are getting the meningitis shots for the Cote d'Ivoire, and it's there. It's the same story in other places. We've had a Nigerian here on the show for the last 4 days, and they are telling us that Nigerian bus companies are busing people by the dozen because airfare is quite expensive there. So that's what's happening in Cote d'Ivoire, like in that respect, and I'm expecting that if more of these countries I've mentioned qualify, we are going to have some pretty decently filled stadia across the next 3 or 4 weeks.
And of course, once the stadia are filled, we expect it to be complemented well with quality football. Let's talk about opening games. Well, Cote d'Ivoire, yes, but Guinea-Bissau, half and half in terms of how it could get you to turn a neck immediately once you hear about the fixture. What's your expectation in terms of the kind of entertainment that we're going to get? They always say that there's a thing with the nerves and the tension in opening games. Because of that, sometimes you don't get maximum or you don't get beauty, which is what the fans have paid for, plus the goals, of course.
I think for a start, there's going to be a lot of pressure on these footballers, for Ivory Coast, because they took it in 2015, but it's too not much of a solid team. Tactically, when you look at them, Ivorian team, they're not too solid. So they have to start the tournament very, very strong. Especially they have to play more combinational passes, entertain the fans. It's very important because if you're the host country, what else can you lose? To play these type of games is very important. They have to instill belief into the fans that a high score line will bring some massive belief into the whole fans and across the country that they can actually do something. So I think these are very key factors for the team and the players as well. There will be a lot of pressure on the coach as well, because it's the host nation. They spend all this money in infrastructure and also in building all these stadiums and these stadiums and all that view. So they have to live up to expectation in terms of, from a tactical point, and the pressure on the players. And the key players as well, they have to stand tall, especially when the going gets tough in the tough matches as well. Guinea-Bissau, yes, not too much of a strong football country now in this tournament, but you never write them off. Especially against the host nation, they're never going to be underdogs, especially with the fans across just coming in. They're going to have a massive support. So opening games, there's going to be nervy, but I still think Cote d'Ivoire would have to calm the nerves down as a team and give the fans entertainment football and win the game as well.
Well, Gary, we always, draw inspiration from history and recent history. So Guinea-Bissau would want to draw a lot of energy from 2017, when they played that opener in Gabon and held the host to a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, even better this time. Yep. Like you said, he alluded to the fact that they have numbers now, and this is according to official information from CAF. Guinea-Bissau are among the top 5 teams or the top 5 countries that have bought the most tickets for the group stages of the AFCON.
Right.
Wow.
So together with Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, and Egypt. So Guinea-Bissau. I didn't know they had so much money in Guinea-Bissau. But football does strange things too. So Ghana is at the 5th. So Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, Guinea-Bissau in not in that order. Yes. So I mean, if the numbers are accurate and this is from CAF, it means then that tomorrow you expect Ivorians are going to fill the stadium and make some elephantine noise, right? And Guinea-Bissau will also be there in their numbers to ensure that they shut the host nation up. It's going to be.
You know, this morning I was listening to some fans. I mean, some Ivorian indigents, and they were, giving different angles to the conversation, because you see, the former FA president Kwesi Nyantakyi, who's a former vice president of CAF, granted an interview yesterday and was talking about the effect of football, which the tourism industry or the agencies that government sets up to develop tourism do not have, to develop tourism. Football rather is a bigger passport to getting numbers into tourism.
Absolutely.
And that just goes to tell you that Ivory Coast this year have a big opportunity to sell themselves to the rest of the world all over again. We always know that Francophone African countries are very, upbeat when it comes to, reveling and all of that. And Ivorians are topmost on this list. And it also means
you mean they're up there?
They're up there. Gary has a story he has to tell. And so then it means that various industries, I'm talking about transportation, hospitality, various aspects of, nightlife and all of that, the traditional samedi soir that we all know from Côte d'Ivoire is going to come alive.
It's been a while since I heard that expression. Samedi soir.
I was talking about it last week anyway.
Yeah.
I just think, for me, it goes beyond Côte d'Ivoire. I think it's an African thing now.
Sure.
Our music is all over the place. Our dance is all over the place. Our football should be over the place.
Yeah.
We've got some giants in African football now. This is the best time to sell what we have as a continent. So it goes beyond just, Ivory Coast now. Ivory Coast is just a small piece of what Africa represents. So they have to put up a show to showcase what Africa actually stands for and what, our style of football and what we bring to the world of football. That is very important. And for me, what better country to host the Cup of Nations now than Ivory Coast? A country that is known for partying, a country that also, they're known for great football as well. So bringing the whole frenziness and everything all together, I think that will showcase our football. Also, not to talk about, they are very talented in terms of, football-wise. They've produced some great footballers in the past, so their history backs them over the years, and that for me will represent what African stands for on the continent. You look at the bigger picture, and you see how African players are not scared now to leave their clubs and come to the tournament. What's the total prize on it? 7 million.
Yeah,
most of these players are richer than 7 million, aren't they? Yeah. Why? But why would they come now? Because of the pride and the ego and what it stands for as Africans. That's where our football is now. And so I just think that this tournament will cement that more.
And earlier, Ghana captain Andre Ayew, stated very clearly that he believes that playing in the Africa Cup of Nations is a more difficult terrain than even playing at the FIFA World Cup.
He has always said that. He has said that for years.
And it goes to buttress this point about the value and the worth of the AFCON, And Gary, do you get a feel that the AFCON is gradually getting the place it deserves within the bigger mix of world football?
Well, and someone will say, why do you say yeah? So let's try and back it up with some hardcore fact. This edition, the quality of broadcasters that are signing up to show the AFCON is telling.
Absolutely.
The quality of broadcasters around the world. For the first time, Sky Sports is getting all 52 games. Group C, is it? Yeah. So you're looking at the two other teams. Yes, I mentioned Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau. Is it Group B, where you have Egypt, the serial winners, Mohamed Salah, always a big story, and the fact that Mohamed Salah respects the tournament. He does not give Liverpool one extra day.
No.
When it's time to leave for Egypt, he's gone. Which is what makes the whole, I watched your show about Andre Onana, which is what makes it a bit annoying, because Andre Onana, your level is nowhere close to Mohamed Salah.
Sure.
But Mohamed Salah has always said, and this is something I love so much about what he said a couple years ago, that as an Egyptian, it's easier to win the Africa Cup of Nations than it is easier to win the World Cup. And so he, as an international footballer who wants a trophy in his cabinet by the time he retires, why shouldn't he take the AFCON more seriously? You get it thinking. And that's what Andre Ayew always says, that, let's face it, when he goes to the World Cup, he's not a big boy at the World Cup like he is at the AFCON. So that is why they take it serious. And so these are some of the reasons why I feel like the AFCON has taken its pride of place. And I think that the journalism angle as well, our colleague Ridwan says that journalism is our storytelling, right? I think that the storytelling around the AFCON has improved to an extent that, people are focusing more. There is a realization that the negative stories is enough. Yeah. Let's push some more positive stories out there. Because at first, when I was growing up, and for many of us, we listened to BBC Fast Track, every AFCON was predicated by things like, the intros were always negative, and they are not paying bonuses. And we know what our problems are. Like, we don't have to rub it in our faces. In our traditional parlance, they say, you don't point your hometown with your left hand.
With the left hand, yeah.
So, we don't all know our families have problems. But I'm not going to sit here and trash my family. No. I'm going to speak well into the AFCON and say that the players are good, the football is good. If it rains and they are using, at a certain AFCON about 5 years ago, they were using mops. Mops. Yeah. I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's how we do it in Africa, man. That's it. That's what we are. So I think that's why there's an emphasis on telling the positive stories of Africa, knowing that, Charlie, we have our problems, but how we go do our
Coach Kwejo, aka Passionate Man, lives in a jurisdiction where club football is a standard. You get players who are contributing to their respective national teams, but are contributing a greater deal to the club football and making it that multi-billion-dollar product that the rest of the world is scrambling for. So, question to you is, amongst you, and I want you to take yourself out of the space as a fan, where you guys go and watch these games on a weekly basis. What are the conversations around the AFCON like? Gary has given us the facts about all the big broadcasters, making sure that they have the franchise as well. So then it means that there will be conversations about the AFCON in England, which is a place where you have big African populations, the Nigerian population there, the Ghanaian. I always love to talk about the Nigerian population in London.
Well, I think, if you look back now, in the last 6 to 7 years, there's been great African players in the Premiership. And so these players have become giants as well. Up until recently, Mane was in the Premiership. You've got Mo Salah. You name them, a host of them. Almost every single team in the UK now, or probably, I don't want to say even the Premiership. You go down to Division 1, Championship, everywhere.
Like the lower you go, the more African
players you do have. And these players, African players bring drive, they bring energy, and also the vision that we have as well. Also, in addition, there's always been an allegiance of African young players that were born in Europe that are switching allegiances. This has become a big talking point. Yeah. So you ask yourself, if England or the Three Lions are pursuing a player like Nketiah, and there's a conversation about him switching allegiance to Ghana, possibly, or there's an allegiance of Danny Welbeck switching allegiance to Ghana, so to speak, then there must be something going on in Africa. So now, over the years, the whole tempo is built now, the energy is built now. I just think that with the big shots that are leaving their clubs and coming to the tournament gives it, a big eyebrow raise, like, okay, let's pay attention to them. Years ago, ITV would have shown a few matches, especially from the quarters or maybe from the semis. But now the attention is on there because everybody is paying attention. Social media has aided everything now. The whole TikTok movement, the players, Sadio Mane just get married and it's all over the place. I'm in Ghana and I've got friends sending me pictures of Sadio Mane's marriage and stuff like that. These are white boys. They don't even know who Sadio Mane is in terms of Senegal whites. But that's where the game is now at the moment. And I just think that African players have done great exploits over the years, and that's paying off now, and so the world is paying attention to our football.
All right, so guys, let's just quickly get into the business of talking about these games, which will be the main attraction aside, the nightlife, which, and they're all going to confess, especially Gary. He has to tell me about his last experience in well, disclaimer, I just did a transit, so. So let's quickly have these fixtures again, and I want to take a look at the games scheduled for tomorrow. So on the 14th, we've got Egypt playing Mozambique, and then Cote d'Ivoire versus Guinea-Bissau. We've had quite a conversation about that as well. Nigeria. On match day 1, we do have one game, which is the opening game, and then on the 14th is Nigeria versus Equatorial Guinea. Let's begin with Nigeria versus Equatorial Guinea. You know, Nigeria have also had their fair share of the disappointment. So the regular confidence with which the Super Eagles will go into the tournament may not necessarily be there because of the recent occurrences in the qualifiers, where, for instance, you had Lesotho beat the Super Eagles, which is a sacrilege if you were dating back to a couple of years back. Now, this game and what it could bring in terms of the surprise element and what we regularly would expect, which is the Super Eagles winning the game.
It's not that cut and dried. And already these two teams are going to give us enough drama for one Netflix blockbuster. And we know that Nigerians are dominating Netflix now, so they probably have cameras there. So let's begin with Nigeria. One, they have a goalkeeper they don't like. The people of Nigeria don't like him.
And Stone has been making this point over here since we started the show.
Their number one goalkeeper, they absolutely do not like him, Francis Uzoho. And you know what? You know the typical African goalkeeper, he will just keep quiet and let the people talk. When they throw at him, he throws back. And he tells them, what was the last thing he said? He says, do you think it's easy for a black man to be employed by Oyibo? You know, so that's it, because he's playing in the Europa League and stuff like that. Why don't they like him? He's error prone. He makes some really high profile mistakes. So the second question is, don't they have other backup goalkeepers? They do, but you know the thing about goalkeepers is that you're a coach.
Yeah, of course.
If the coach trusts you, he trusts you.
That's it.
It's as simple as that. It can be annoying, but it is what it is. You know, I mean, for Ghanaians will recall that Richard Kinson, at a time in Ghana's history, he was our number one goalkeeper, but he didn't have a club.
Sure.
And there was nothing you could tell the coaches to change their minds, because they were the ones, he was the one they trusted. So that's one. Nigeria, just about 4 months ago, everybody around the world was saying that they had one of the most fearsome attacks in the world, because you could name about 9 world-class players. Suddenly, all of them have vanished because most of them have been injured in the space of the last 2 weeks. You know, if it were our lovely country, Ghana, we would say, no be that, you know. But yeah, so they are really left with Victor Osimhen as the only out-and-out striker, and it's incredible. In the last 7 days, Victor Boniface, who was the main striker in Germany, has been injured. 2 days ago, Umar Sadiq, who plays in Real Sociedad, has also been injured. He has to be flown to Spain. And then the 2 players who were flying in as replacements cannot come in time for Sunday's game, so they will not be available. Then let's come to Equatorial Guinea. Oh, did I forget that Nigerians also don't like their coach, Jose Peseiro?
Well, so the only reason why they have, you know, entered this tournament with Peseiro was that they just were calculating the figures and thought, okay, you know what, maybe we should just let him.
But they don't like him. So that's
the liability was.
And then Equatorial Guinea, they are threatening to boycott matches if their appearance fees are not increased. So at first, they told, when they were going to see, and you know, they made this request the moment they were going to see the president for the farewell dinner. That is when they told the people that we are going to the president. If we go, tell him that we are taking 3,000 euros minimum, which is say, win, lose, or draw, pay us 3,000 euros. Or else we are not going. Now, when they got to the presidency, and the president said, what's the problem? The captain now told the president that we want 6,000 euros. So they have to bargain for that, else.
but Joe, you know, it's funny. So I look at Equatorial Guinea. We're discussing this yesterday. You look at Equatorial Guinea and their natural mineral wealth and what is siphoned out of there every day, or on a monthly basis, and you ask yourself, what is 3,000 euros or 6,000 euros? I mean, and sadly, their vice president, who is the son of the president, Teodoro Jr., is on Instagram, and he lives the life, the flashy life, tasting all the golden roses on a daily basis.
Traveling to Paris, he's always in Spain, Lamborghini.
And it's got the houses, it's got the flashy cars and everything as well.
Yeah, so thing is, 6,000, I mean, why should it even become a subject in Equatorial Guinea? It shouldn't be a problem at all.
No, it shouldn't. But you know how it is, politics when mixed with football can change the dynamics, isn't it? So, you know, we're talking about Nigeria now. And I just think, if I pick it even from a Nigerian stance, I just think that Nigeria, for me, I think is going to be a very tricky one. Because tactically, they don't really have a good playmaker at the moment. And so in the last few years, they've been playing long balls. And if you check last year, the whole Nigerian team been playing long balls from the wide areas, trying to find either Boniface or trying to find Osimhen. So it's going to be a very big problem if they come against teams that do control games. That will be very, very hard for them. There isn't a natural ball juggler in this Nigerian team that can, pull the strings and create more chances.
Hello, JJ. Hello, Austin Okocha. We miss you.
There you go. Yeah. So there's no Okocha. There hasn't been a replacement.
It's the biggest problem, isn't it?
Exactly. It's been that for the last few years now. Yeah. And so they've been playing long balls, and then that is very difficult. You need your wingers to be as sharp as you can in those type of games. But then, as the tournament progresses, you're meeting teams that are quite open and playing more from the wide areas, playing high pitch and stuff like that. That's where you're going to find a player like Osimhen getting missing, because he needs that number 10 that can, find him in those pocket spaces, create more chances for him to be able to, do what he does. But then, of course, if he does have the ball in the right spaces, he's going to be a dangerous man for the tournament. So Nigeria, for me, that's where the problem will stem from. But Equatorial Guinea, they play like a total football, kind of trying to control the ball, keep the ball, pass the ball more around. But I don't see them creating a lot of danger, against Nigeria, except Nigeria becomes very like a loose cannon. Then they can obviously take opportunities in those spaces and then create some dangers.
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. Absolutely accurate. So Nigeria's biggest problem, like he said, is they have no middle. And Osasio Bayuana, our very senior colleague on the BBC, was on this channel this morning on the morning show, and he was saying that you don't win tournaments without a midfield. It's not possible. Absolutely. So you may go that far, but when you get to a certain level, you are expecting to see the Senegals and the Egypts and the Moroccos there. They will kill you, because they are going to either match your possession. Those teams have world-class wingers like you do. They have world-class attackers like you do, world-class defenders, but then you don't have midfielders, And the fact that somebody like, what's his name? Wilfred Ndidi, I forgot to mention that he's also injured. Yeah. Their best defensive midfielder in the last few years. So who's going to carry the ball? Who's going to put it forward? And so it's a big, big challenge for Nigeria.
And that then places a big responsibility on, on the bench, because this is an opportunity. I'm thrown back to 2008. You do remember when Lahi Kingston got injured, and out of that situation, you had an Anthony Annan emerge, and and he
made the position his own.
Yeah. So this could just be an opportunity for the bench.
And Nigeria have done it before. In 2013. They had a locally based player who stood up to the plate, Sunday Mba.
Oh, Sunday Mba.
And he vanished as quickly as he came.
We're talking about him yesterday. Sunday Mba was the star of the tournament who every Alaji and every CEO in Nigeria was looking for to thank.
But that's the power of coaching then. You see, that's where you coaches earn your salaries, because then all of us pundits, that's what we do. We will come and sit here and talk. Yeah. And then you, the coach, will say, these people, they don't know what they are talking about. Then the coach is going to release somebody who is going to do the job. And so,
And once again, to that interview that coach, former President Kwesi Nyantichi granted to Bolare, he spoke about 2010 and when the Black Stars were looking for that fifth trophy and how Egypt just unleashed ghetto.
Yeah. Coaching.
And this impact sub really lived up to the term impact sub, and he just came in and deflated our...
I'll mention a couple countries we should look out for. Tunisia, they have qualified for at least every quarter final in the last 9 editions. Nathaniel, do you know how insanely consistent you have to be to do that? 9 quarterfinals since 2000. They won in 2004. Yeah. And they've gone on that streak and been in every quarterfinal. The secret for them? While everybody is busy looking to their European-based players, they have a very strong local league. And they know that the secret in Africa and of Africans is that, one, we don't read and we don't research. So what do? Every single Africa Cup of Nations, they bring a couple players that they know your coach will not bother looking at. Your coach will not bother looking at. And those are the players there. And if you look at their squad, if you look at their attackers, in fact, the players who will be starting in attacking midfield and at least one of the main strikers will be from the local league. Very, very good. And that's what Tunisia always do. So you look at the lineup and you go like, oh, as for me, my team, they play in Spain, Germany, England, Portugal, Holland. No, they're fine. Because see, the players they produce for the CS Sfaxien and Esperance, they always go to the quarterfinal, semi-final of the African Champions League and the Confederations Cup. And for them, Tunisia are known as the Uruguay of African football. You know why? Because Uruguay are a very small country of 3 million people, but they always go far in tournaments. Yeah. Tunisia are like that. As we speak, Tunisia is the champion of Africa in handball, the African champion in basketball, and some of the other sports as well. So they specialize in being underdogs, and they take the same attitudes to football. So look out for Tunisia in that respect. So teams like Mali, you know why they don't do well? Because you look at the Malian lineup and, this is a Premier League guy. This guy plays in. But when they come together,
it's something else.
Yes, everybody, like all the coaches, or it's not just that, all the opposition coaches know exactly how the players play. And so they know how to deploy their arsenals against them, you know.
Gary L. Smith there, and, we'll be doing some more as we go along. We'll dedicate the final lap of the show to Ghana versus Cape Verde, which sure is an area of interest for people in this jurisdiction and outside of it. Thank you so much for staying with us here on AFCON Today. My name is Nathaniel Atto, and right now I'm going to bring on Karim of Joy Sports. You know, Karim always brings us head-to-head, stuff. Now we want to quickly look at the head-to-head business, when it comes to Ghana versus Cape Verde. But before that, let's just quickly go back to that visit that the Ghanaian team, the Black Stars, paid to the Ghanaian ambassador to Ivory Coast. He had some words for them, and he had some inferences from literature to put to their thoughts. Let's take a listen to him.
It's a great honor and privilege for me to welcome you to Abidjan, the beautiful capital of Côte d'Ivoire. And first of all, I wish to commend you for qualifying to participate in this 34th edition of the all-important African Cup of Nations. Ghana is known as a football nation, and I am sure that you are physically, mentally, and morally prepared to play, not only to play, but to win. Because from what I heard, it's over 40 years plus since we last won. And this is the time when we should win, to show that Ghana is back. I can see because when I said bon appetit, they answered in French, which means that they have already acquired, tactics, French dissing. So I hope that you're going to perform well. And then, just like when Caesar crossed the Rubicon, he said, I came, I saw, I conquered. I want it to be said that you came, you played well, and you won. Okay? So we look forward to Ghana celebrating, your victory. Okay? So this is all that I can say to you, that good luck, and rest assured that the embassy, the staff, and myself, you have our full cooperation and full support, in the achievement that you hope to attain. Okay, all the best. It is a great honor and privilege for me.
Well, I just like the look on Daniel Amate's face. Daniel Amate, eating his food and just, nodding. I just love that guy, his facial expressions just remind me of, goalkeeper Fatau Dauda and how he used to just, put up a scary look in front of the camera at close range. Well, let's just get down to the business now. Cape Verde, and what kind of threat they possibly pose to the Black Stars in that game on Sunday. Karim.
Matt, the American fictional writer and aeronautical engineer, Robert Heinlein, he says, I'm bringing wisdom from the mountains.
Sure.
Before we start. He says, a generation that ignores history has no past and future.
True, absolutely.
So we want to guide ourselves with history and the past about Ghana and then Cape Verde. So we start with Cape Verde's last 5 games. In those 5 games, it is very similar to what Ghana has in our previous games.
See.
3 of them in friendlies, 2 of them competitive games. the two competitive ones, those were the World Cup qualifiers just before this international break that they've played the friendlies ahead of the AFCON. So the two first games against Cape Verde, against Algeria, and then Comoros, which Ghana have also played in the World Cup qualifiers. They lost 5-1 to Algeria. That's a team that we are looking out as potential champions of this tournament. Then they lost to Comoros. Ghana also lost to Comoros in the World Cup qualifier. Then the two competitive games, the World Cup qualifiers, they managed not to lose, but Ghana, we gave up 3 points against Comoros. Then they drew goalless against Angola and won 2-0 against Eswatini. Those were their two World Cup qualifying games. Then on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, they lost 2-0 to Tunisia in their final AFCON, their final friendly ahead of this AFCON. In those past 9 games, they've conceded nine goals and have also managed to score 4 in those games. Then let's go to Ghana. We've also played 5 in our last 5 games ahead of this game on Sunday. We've also those 5 games, we've lost 3 of them. Those 3 losses came in the 2 friendlies against the United States and then Mexico. Very bad one there. If you are looking at the number of goals we've scored in these 5 friendlies, we scored just 1. That is worrying. Yesterday I was talking about us. If you want to win the AFCON, there are some basic things you are supposed to be able to do. That is score goals and concede less or not concede at all. But we've conceded as many as 7 here and scored just 1. In 5 games, you are keeping 1 clean sheet. And we are talking about if you are to win the AFCON, you are supposed to be targeting, keeping at least 5 clean sheets. When Senegal won it the last time, they kept 5 clean sheets. So we should be targeting 5 clean sheets. But in our last games, 5 games, we couldn't manage even 3. We just did 1. Then now let's come to head-to-head. This one is appetizing for Ghanaians and giving us memories of what we've lost in the past. Then look at those 4 games. Look at them against Cape Verde. We've met them 4 times. We've not lost any of those 4 games.
And we haven't conceded again.
We've not conceded, but we can't do that now. That's the problem. In this phase, the first time we met them was in 2004. That is at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. 35,000 fans packed there. You could have, you would just be imagining how the place was like. 24 minutes, Michael Essien penalty. He scored, then an own goal, Nelson Weiger, 2-0, we've won. That is the 4th round of qualifying for the 2006 World Cup. Yeah. Then this was the final game of that World Cup qualifying run. 4-0 in Cape Verde. That is the Estadio da Vazia. 6,500 fans in that stadium. 5 minutes in, Jotex Frimpong.
I remember the celebrations.
Nobody
that was the final, game ahead of our participation in Germany.
5 minutes in, Jotex Frimpong, the first goal. 35 minutes. Then we have Sule Muntari, all of them from the same side of the left side. Then 75 minutes, Asamoah Gyan. Then in the 87th minute, Godwin Atram wrapped it up with the final goal, 4-0. We are through to the World Cup. Then ahead of the 2013 AFCON, where we finished 4th, then we met them in a pre-tournament friendly. Mubarak Wakaso, he knows how to play against Cape Verde. You see these 3 goals in these 2 games. He's the one who scored all. Ahead of the we were not in the same group, just like going ahead. We've played Namibia in that last friendly ahead of this AFCON. And just like this one, he scored the lone goal there. And in the tournament itself, we met them again. We didn't know meeting them ahead of the tournament, and we played that friendly. In the tournament, we met them in the quarterfinals. Mubarak Wakaso again, a penalty and an open goal. Done. We've played them in 4 games. We've scored as many as 7, 6 games. 6. That's 9 goals scored.
9 goals scored.
9 goals scored, and we've not conceded any.
Karim.
The head-to-head is telling us that at least against Cape Verde, we've not lost against them. Maybe we are hoping that this will not be the time that we'll lose against them.
Well, that's very important, facts that, Karim has laid, as he always does. And he raised a very important point about keeping clean sheets, Gary. And, this is very critical. We've been talking about the goalkeeping department of the Black Stars and the fact that we have an Atizigi there who has been active, and has given us recent performances which give us the confidence. You have a Walcott who went into his first international tournament with relative confidence and did fairly well for someone who was being exposed to the tournament for the first time. And then you have a Richard Ofori who had been challenged with different bouts of injury spells, but is one of the safest pairs of hands in terms of experience. And you need the experience. So then, who do we rely on in this situation? If you have the opportunity, let me begin with you.
Nat, I just think from a goalkeeper's perspective or from a coach's perspective, if you go with Atizigi, he's safe pair of hands and goalposts, but he's got a bad distribution. And that, for me, is a no-no now.
And that affects building up from the back?
Absolutely. Especially with us, you look at our fullbacks and how bad the fullbacks are and the way we play now. That, for me, is a big problem. So if you play back, with Atizigi, you'd have to have ball distribution coming from your defenders, and to be able to pick up and start playing from back. And that's where the problem could be. But on the other hand as well, we haven't got a fullback. We haven't got a better fullbacks. The left backs, the right backs, they're not that good. And so for me, the cohesion from the goalkeeper's perspective, building cohesion with the defense is where we should be focusing more on now, rather than the attack. Because obviously, in part of the games, you're going to have a season or a part of the games that you would have to be very solid. You have to put up a strong wall to defend. All good teams know how to defend, including Real Madrid and all these big clubs. So we have to know how to defend, because I can tell you, this defense is very porous. If we come up against all these, sharp wingers running us down the channels, we're going to struggle. We need to rather build from the back. I'm expecting that the fullback together with the goalkeepers are going to be really solid from the back. And that, for me, we should close all angles, close all gaps. That should be the starting point before we even start talking about how much we can even be in transition.
Gary, Cape Verde are coming into this tournament with nothing to lose, really. So they come in, they're going to run at us, and that pace they're known for. They're going to be running at us, and if we have a porous defense, like he said, we should be looking for trouble then, especially when we want to maintain this clean sheet that we've maintained in terms of the head-to-head record.
In the group stage, if you are a Ghana, and I'll explain why I'm saying that, you want to have clean sheets first, because our attackers are not scoring. We are not scoring a lot of goals. Absolutely. If you are a Senegal or an Algeria, you have the luxury of saying that you will outscore the opposition, because you know that you have it in your DNA to do that. But you are not. So typically, they say attack will win you games, but your defense will win you the championship. Exactly. So secondly, we are in a 24-team tournament. 24-team tournament means that after they select the top two that are going into the next round,
the best
into the
runners-up,
round of 16,
third-place teams, the best.
They are going to pick a number of third-place teams there. And when it comes to that, you want to be the one who has conceded the least number of goals as possible. So that's it. If I were Chris Hughton, I'll be looking at solidifying my defense, because the midfield, if he picks the right players, it's not a problem. And they can even contribute to goals. I'll be more worried about the defense. That's for me, especially with a side like Cape Verde. The second thing I would do is that, because it's Cape Verde, with the greatest of respect, it's not your Senegals or it's not Egypt. Chris Hughton has been playing with two defensive midfielders. I don't know why he's been doing that. Even against Namibia, he did that in front of a home crowd. It's basic football law that you play in front of your home crowd, you go attacking, especially in African football. If somebody comes to you, they sit back, you attack. And then you play two defensive midfielders against Namibia. You don't do that. One defensive midfielder, you give them the license to roam, Go for it. What does it do? It brings confidence into the setup as well, and it transmits that confidence around the team. Sure. So these are the basics. Against Cape Verde, I'd rather we don't go for the flashy and go for the functional. Win your 1-0, your 2-0, and get your 3 points and move. That's what I would do.
I just, adding to what Gary just said now, I think, that two holding pivot he's been playing is what is actually been stopping our fluid, our free-flowing football. Yeah. Because what it does is that it puts so much pressure on Kudus to create alone. Yeah. We don't need Kudus to create alone. We need to give Kudus the room to be able to receive the balls where he wants to receive them. Because Kudus can play from the wide, can play through the middle, and then he can actually score as well. So we need Ashmiru or somebody else in the midfield with vision that can pass the ball and pick a pass. As we speak now, Samet can't pick a pass. Yep. He's just only static and very flat in midfield. He can't pick a pass. So we need to create, we need to be able to, kind of as a unit, be able to have that movement and clean combinational passes. I don't see those two holding midfielders bringing in those combinational passes. And that, for me, has to be very quick. Because when you watch the Senegalese and all these teams, the Moroccans, they pass the ball so quick, but they know what they're doing. Yeah. If you have to destabilize your opponent, the back line of your opponent, you should be able to know how to move these balls very quick, but at the same time being clever. And Kudus is becoming the only man, like the most creative midfielder in the team. We don't need to do that, especially when we don't actually have a striker in this team. So we need to play wide as much as we can, have creative midfielders in the middle, let the midfielders begin to find spaces, because the more wider you play, like the Nuames, stretching the back line of the opponent's team. Exactly. That can find Kudus or Inaki Williams, somebody running into the box. Because we know Inaki Williams is being played out of position. And so if we're playing out of position, we're going to fall on our midfielders to be able to score goals. Yeah. If they don't get into the box, their chances of scoring is going to be very minimal. So we need to play more wider. The Nuames, threatening from the wide areas. Then it frees up the space in midfield. Then the midfielders can run into the box. And then when they do, then we know we're going to have a chance. If not, it's going to be a big problem.
Yeah. And they give their license to the wingers, especially in a game like Cape Verde, whose defenders are not the greatest themselves, to run at them. So, it's not a game where you want to draw too many fouls. So Jordan Ayew, he's good. But this is a game where I'll run the younger players who are fast and going to run at them 90 minutes. So I'll play Bukari.
I would prefer Bukari, ahead. Do you know why I say that? Because I just think that, first of all, Jordan Ayew, we haven't really applied him as a proper number 9. We've always played him a bit on the wide, and that doesn't help. If he's a striker, he should be at the end of the balls, receiving the end of the balls in the 18 box. He shouldn't be playing from the wide. He's, for God's sake, he's not Mbappe. You know what I'm saying? Mbappe can do that from the wide areas and cut through or through the middle. If Jordan plays as a centre forward, let's keep Jordan as a pivot, as a centre forward, out and out, in the box. Let's have midfielders create chances around him. We're giving Inaki Williams a big disservice. Yeah. The man is not a centre forward. So let's give him, let's bring out his values. He plays, Atletico Bilbao, he plays from the wide area or from an attacking position. So that's when he has a full glance of the goalpost and he's able to be more effective. What we're doing to him, we're causing him, denying him of service. Exactly.
Of course, this show is a very big test for the Black Stars of Ghana. And as has been said on several occasions, the best way to start is to pick the 3 points and just wait. And for Ghana as well, it becomes very crucial to keep as many clean sheets as possible, because just in case, if in the unlikely instance that things go the way they went in Cameroon, then we may have to rely on, the head-to-heads and that. I don't know why you're smiling, but
hopefully we don't get there.
But Cameroon was terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was bad.
Cameroon was terrible, and it gave all of us a big wake-up call as well.
It did. I think it did.
It did. Part of it was also because, transition of players coming into the team. Sometimes you have to mix experience with, energy. Yeah. And that's where football is now. And for us as Ghana, we rely on the names rather than, the energy that brings to the team. Because football has become more than athletics than any other sports now. And so if the talent is there, if they can play, let's mix it with some energy as well. That is what can give us what we're looking for. If not, we're going to rely on passing the ball, because modern football demands keeping the shape of the team. That requires a lot of energy, running back and forth, back and forth. I don't see that with the Ghana team. We lose the ball and we're still caught up in the same hole. There's no tracking back. These are basics in the game.
Things. I mean,
and if we don't do these
remember
things,
the goal Komoro scored, the first
exactly.
goal. I mean, Nathaniel, the guy took the ball just after the center line.
That's it.
He had time to touch the ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Nobody touched him. Nobody came to him. That is unforgivable.
Unpardonable.
Unpardonable, unforgivable, unpardonable. I mean, it's a bit like you say, it's the basic.
Unacceptable, unpardonable, unforgivable. Yeah. Gary, final thoughts. We're going into a whole month of intensive football action.
Yeah.
This time is a 24-team tournament.
Well, yeah. Storylines are plenty. There'll be lots of football. And, for Ghana, there'll be a lot of worry. There'll be a lot of worry.
Gary looks like a finance minister in a certain country who's been told to explain how the currency would fare in the next,
so like people are worried. People are worried that the Black Stars are not going to do much because, to be fair, they've not given us much to be confident about. So we'll see how it goes. And this is their photo shoots from the official CAF.
I saw it this morning.
Yeah. And every team has one, and these are our stars we are parading, and go Ghana, go!
Yeah, I like
That's
the
right.
way, Richard Ofori clapped, the sound of his gloves. Yeah. Let's wrap this up now. Expectations for the big weekend?
Well, for Black Stars, if I'm to start from there, I expect the coach's experience to come to the fore. For these type of games, I expect him also to know his players, the quality of the players, and use them as such. I expect the team for the first time to start playing from the wide areas. I also expect a little bit of push from the high, the fullbacks as well. Let them double it into the midfield and create some chances. I also expect that the players themselves will believe, about their own heroics, and then hopefully we'll see.
And I also expect that you're going to be with us on our various channels throughout the AFCON for all the best analysis and all